Mavericks G. Hague with you today on Thursday. And have you ever heard of Brendan Burchard? Brendan Burchard, in my view, is one of the most prolific and talented personal development trainers and speakers in the country. I had the great pleasure of being with Brendan, who also is a friend, at a roundtable on Monday, where all of us gave presentations. And Brendan's presentation was about a project he has been involved in over the past 2 years, and that is studying the habits, studying quantifiably what those habits are that help people do better both personally and professionally. And in fact, Brendan is launching his book this September, and his book will be about those habits based on 2 years of study, quantifiable studies, those habits, those things we can do every day and every week that will help us perform better both personally and professionally. And Brendan has nailed that down to 6 habits, 6 habits. And again, unlike perhaps the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, which was based more on interviews and we'll call it non-quantifiable data, Brendan's book is based on quantifiable data. So it should be fascinating. Well, I found one thing particularly fascinating, and that is Brendan went through what these 6 habits were. And the very first one was clarity. Well, having clarity, people who focus every day on getting out of the muck, getting out of the murk, getting out of the oatmeal, and having absolute clarity, those are people who tend to be metamorphically more successful both in their personal and professional lives. And I found that particularly fascinating because one of my other roundtable members got up and said, I think that one of the hallmarks of successful people is that they are comfortable in ambiguity. And I actually stood up and said, I actually don't agree. I think it's just the opposite. I think one of the hallmarks of most successful people are those who are constantly uncomfortable in ambiguity, because we all live in a degree of ambiguity, and that because they're uncomfortable, they constantly strive to get out of that ambiguity and to get into clarity. Now, I mentioned to Brendan after his presentation that many years ago, I developed a concept that's helped me a lot, and that is with everything I do, whether it's lunch with a friend, a phone call, something personal, something business, something small, something big, that I try to think through and make sure I have 3 clarities. Those 3 clarities would be clarity of purpose, clarity of process, and clarity of person. Clarity of purpose means whatever I'm doing, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a meeting, whether it's just lunch with a friend, that I have absolute clarity about what I want to accomplish in that, we'll call it, in that event, in that experience. Clarity of process is that once I've determined what my purpose is, then I will think through what kind of processes, what do I need to say, what do I need to do to achieve that particular purpose. And again, it could be just lunch with a friend where my total purpose is just to make sure my friend at lunch knows that I am a totally amazing, loyal, best friend. And so I would make it a point during that lunch to say and do things that would make it clear that that is my number one goal at lunch, including a big hug with my friend at the end. And then this last clarity that I developed, again, clarity of the 3 clarities, clarity of purpose, clarity of process, and clarity of person, is to constantly be thinking in everything I do, in my phone calls, in my videos, in my personal interactions, every time I'm in front of anybody, I want to think to myself, how do I want to project myself? How do I want to be seen? Think about it this way. What do I want people to say about me and think about me when I'm not in the room? I think if you focus with everything you do, big and small, little events, phone calls, whatever, if you focus on those 3 clarities, having clarity of purpose, clarity of process, and clarity of person, I think that will help you move your needle enormously. So in tomorrow's Voxer, I'm going to actually apply these 3 clarities to a couple of examples, substantive, important examples in real estate, to help you with some advice on how you can actually do things like having better clarity when you present offers to help you make more sales in the course of a year. Well, the quote for today is, well, you probably expect it to be this, and that is clarity of purpose, clarity of process, clarity of person. Focus every day with everything you do on having those 3 clarities. Mavericks, have an amazing evening. Back with you another Voxer tomorrow.